All right, we're going to look at solving multi-step equations with the distributive property. All right, so that's the first thing we're going to look at. So as a quick review, let's go over simplifying a simple distributive property problem. So this means 6 times the quantity, and that quantity is x plus 2. So we read it as 6 times the quantity of x plus 2. And we're going to take 6 and distribute it and multiply it by x. So 6 times x is 6x. And then we're going to take 6 and we're going to multiply it by a positive 2. So that'll give us positive 12. So it looks like plus 12. So that would be our answer. So that was our distributive property. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and incorporate it into an equation. And so that means that we will have multiple steps to do in an equation. So let's start with a simple one here. Okay. We have 3 times the quantity of 1 minus 2x, and it equals to negative 9. So what we're going to do is we'll multiply 3 times 1. I'm going to do it out the long way first so you can see it. Then we're going to subtract. Then we're going to distribute the 3 to the 2x, so it's 3 times 2x. And it still equals negative 9. So you want to keep your equation intact. Now we're going to calculate. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2x is 6x, so it's minus 6x equals negative 9. All right, now we're in a position where we have to solve for this. Okay, we've got down to a 2-step equation. So our objective is to get our variables on one side and our numbers on the other. So we're going to bring that 3 over to the side where we have negative 9. So we'll put our line there so we know we're crossing to the opposite side. This 3 is positive. If you don't see a sign, it's positive. So you can put it there to see it. So we're going to subtract 3 and we're going to subtract 3. Remember, you do the opposite sign or operation to get to the opposite side of the equation. Well, positive 3 minus 3 gives you 0. So we bring down negative 6x equals, and negative 9 plus a negative 3 means that we have like signs, same signs that are being added. So we add up the 9 and 3 and we get 12, and we keep the sign of negative 12. All right, now we're still got one step to go, and that is to solve for x. And x is being multiplied by a negative 6. So we're going to undo the multiplication by dividing. But we have to divide by the number, and that number is negative 6. So we'll divide on both sides by negative 6. Any number divided by itself is 1. So we get 1x equals, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive answer, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So our answer would be x equals positive 2. All right, let's take a look at another one. In this case, we have negative 2 times the quantity of n plus 4, and it equals 17. So we're going to take negative 2 times n, and that's negative 2n. We're going to take negative 2 times a positive 4, okay, because it looks like a positive 4. And that's going to give us a negative 8. And that equals 17. All right, now we've got a 2-step equation. So we're going to add 8 to each side. And again, if you want the line there for your equals to cross to the other side, that's fine. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0, so that goes away. Negative 2n comes down, equals 17 plus 8 is 25. We're going to divide by what's being multiplied by n, which is negative 2. So we'll divide by negative 2. That becomes 1, because anything divided by itself is 1. So that leaves us with n. A positive divided by a negative is a negative answer, and the answer is 25 over 2. Or if you want to write it as a decimal, 2 divides into 25 12 and a half times. So it would be negative 12 and a half, or negative 12.5. Okay? So you can get decimal answers. That's perfectly fine. You just check it, and make sure it's all good. All right, and we have 2 more problems to go, and this one is negative 5 times the quantity of x minus 3, and that equals negative 24. So we're going to multiply negative 5 by x, and we're going to get negative 5x. And we're going to multiply -5 by a -3. So that becomes positive, which is positive 15. And that equals to -24 on the other side. All right, now it's a two-step equation. So we're going to subtract 15 from both sides so we can get it on the side with the 24, like terms, right? Get it over there. All numbers on one side, all variables on the other. Positive 15 minus 15 is 0. We bring down -5x equals, and -24 minus 15 is going to be adding, because with the same sign, so we add them up and we keep the sign. 24 plus 15 is 39. Okay, and what we're going to do is divide by -5 now, because it's a one-step equation. So we divide by -5 and divide by -5, and we cross out anything divided by itself is 1. So we're left with x equals, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So you can leave it as 39 over 5, or if you want an idea of what that number is, 5 goes into 39 7 times, gives us 35 with 4 remaining, so it'll be 0.8, I think it comes out to, yeah, 0.8. So it'll be 7 4/5, or it'll be 7.8. And again, you can use your calculator to check that out. So you can leave it as a mixed number, you can leave it as a decimal, or you can leave it as an improper fraction. Okay, mixed number, decimal, improper fraction. Either one of those answers is fine. All right, and last but not least is always a tricky one, all right? And that is this. We got -8 equals a negative quantity. Well, the question is, what's in front of that quantity? And the answer is a 1, okay? So really, it's a -1 here. So what we're going to do is we're going to distribute our -1 to the x. Now, what problem we have with this is that, hey, this quantity is on the right-hand side, and we usually see it on the left-hand side. So you got to be a little flexible. So let's leave it there. This -8 equals stays, okay? So cover that up so you don't see it now that you've dealt with it. And it's -1 that's multiplied by the quantity x plus 4. So -1 times x is -1x, and you may keep the 1 there if you'd like. And -1 times a positive 4 is a -4, so it looks like -4. And now you have a two-step equation. Again, the x may not be on the side you want it to be, but equivalence or equal means the same thing on both sides, so it's okay. So we want to be flexible enough to deal with it being on our right side versus our left. So since our x is on our right side, we're going to bring the numbers to the left this time. So we're going to add 4 to this side, because we want that 4 to be with the 8. And if you want your line to divide up your equation, draw that line down. -4 plus 4 is 0. -8 plus 4, different signs, which means difference, which means subtract. So 8 minus 4 is 4. And you're going to take the sign of the higher number. So if you look at these two numbers without signs, 8 is larger than 4, and it has a negative on it, so we're going to have a -4. That will equal to -1x. And so now we got to solve for x, not -x. So there's a -1 that's being multiplied by x, so we are going to divide out that -1 on each side. Anything divided by itself is 1, so that leaves us with x on the right-hand side. And -4 divided by a -1 is a positive answer, and it's +4. Okay, and that is the same thing as x equals 4, and that would be your final answer. So this is how we use the distributive property in multi-step equations, and what makes it multi-step is that we have some things to do before we can do two-step and one-step to solve.